Okay, we're recording.
Okay,
Hi,
so
everyone.
good morning, everyone. We're very pleased to participate in this virtual conference. So we're all in Singapore, except for Julie, who is in France. So we are 5 institutions who offer programs in Singapore, different type of programs. We have Lynette Ling from Singapore Management University, which is a local university. Laura Severan from Yale and NUS College. That is a joint program between Yale and NUS. Myself, that I represent the NUS-Sciences Po double degree program that offers a dual degree from one institution in France and one in Singapore. Julie Pinon from ESSEC, Singapore campus, and Hester Holy from EHL, École Hôtelière de Lausanne, who just opened a new campus in Singapore. So we will present you a very diverse offer to study in Singapore, and we can tell you more about this country that is a real hub for higher education and research. So without further ado, I give the floor to Lynette from SMU, who will present Singapore Management University, and she will also give you an overview about Singapore. Lynette?
Thanks, Mariana, for the great introduction. Hi, I'm Lynette, and I am the Undergraduate Admissions Director in SMU. Thank you for attending our session on study options in Singapore. Now, before each of us launch into our presentations, we would like to highlight some key facts of Singapore for international students. So I'm born and bred here in Singapore and would never imagine living anywhere else. So I'm very happy to talk about Singapore to everyone here. Now, first of all, Singapore is in Southeast Asia, very near the equator, as you can see from the map here. So if you like all year round warm tropical climate, this is the place to live in. Now, this is a slide with 6 key facts about Singapore that international students are always interested in. Now, first of all, Singapore is a multi-racial, multicultural country with lots of diversity. We celebrate each other's religions and cultures in a big way here. So we have 4 official languages here, Malay, Mandarin, Tamil, and English. But English is the main language that's used in education, work, and much of social interactions here. Now, you may already read that Singapore is very safe. And yes, we are so safe that we're ranked as the world's 2nd safest city by the Economist Intelligence Unit. We're also known to have very good quality of living in most things like healthcare, education, social and political economy, housing, and more. And we're ranked by Mercer as the country with the best quality of life in Asia. And there's a huge focus as well on education in Singapore, and meritocracy is kind of a big philosophy here. So we make sure that every citizen gets a chance at a basic 12-year education and ensure that social mobility through education is possible for everyone. We're also first in the world for digital readiness. So we're kind of like a techie kind of nation that's ranked by Cisco. And this is so fundamental, especially in this COVID-19 world that we're living in right now, right? You may have read also that the Singapore government will be giving a personal laptop or a tablet to every secondary school student by next year. So this is really the priority that the country is placing on technology. And finally, if you think Singapore is all concrete jungle and nothing else, you may want to think again, because in Singapore, there's a lot of biodiversity in our rainforest here. We've got 300 parks, 6 national parks, as well as 4 nature reserves. Now moving on to the next slide. So if you think that, Singapore is anything like Crazy Rich Asians, that movie, where the cost of living is exorbitantly high, think again, you're wrong, because it is entirely possible to eat cheap and travel cheap in Singapore as well as in Asia. And this is a table on the approximate living expenses in Singapore, all in US dollars. And also our universities are known to have lower tuition fees compared to those in US, Europe, or even Australia. Now I'm going to flash some slides really quickly about what Singaporeans love to do, starting from this slide, which is all about food. Yes, we love food in a very big way. And this is Gardens by the Bay, one of our national parks, which look really amazing. And this is in one of our, this is in one of our nature reserves, a treetop walk. And that's what a lot of, international students, our own local students and residents in Singapore like to do, taking a hike over the weekend. And finally, this is in Arab Street, one of the many cultural enclaves in Singapore. And so that's Singapore in a nutshell for you. I'm going to move on to the presentation for the Singapore Management University. I'm going to talk really briefly about this. So SMU, that's what we call ourselves in short, is Singapore's only university that's located right in the middle of the city, very much like New York University, as well as London School of Economics and Political Science. Our backyard is literally Singapore's central business district, as well as a huge heritage area with museums, theaters, and art galleries. Sometimes we have our classes there. So you can see one of the SMU building in my Zoom background here. Over here, you can see a domed library against the backdrop of Singapore's city skyline itself. So SMU was started 20 years ago through a partnership with the Wharton School of University of Pennsylvania. And we're a government-funded university in Singapore. Our curriculum, the way we teach, our Latin honors, even our first two presidents were adopted in collaboration with Wharton. I'm going to show you a typical freshman profile in SMU. So essentially, we enroll around 2,000 students per cohort every year. So our freshman cohort is very diverse. There are students from more than 120 high schools from 50 cities around the world. So very, very diverse. They come from different backgrounds, like entrepreneurs. We've got students who are social activists. We have students who are athletes, artists, debaters, and more. Now, SMU is known as a specialist university, although we pretty much offer a good array of programs. However, if you're looking for engineering or things like life sciences or physical sciences, we don't offer them. So what you're seeing right now would be the 10 degree choices that we're offering. We're also offering more than 20 double degree options. Now, one thing that's very unique about SMU is that we don't pre-package double degree options, which means that you can take a double degree combination from any of our degree choices, as what you can see here on the screen itself. It is entirely possible to complete a double degree program in SMU within the same span of time that you take to complete one degree. Like I said, again, all our degrees are direct meritorious honors programs, and we follow the American Latin honors system. Now, SMU is also the only government-funded university in Singapore to offer every single student, the moment they step into SMU, a guaranteed second major. So we have more than 45 majors, as well as 300 combinations of second majors to choose from. Students can take any second major outside of their specialization. They can choose a second major that either complements their discipline, or a contrasting second major, or even an interdisciplinary major like politics, law, and economics, which is our version of PPE in SMU, or things like health, economics, and management, and many more. So second majors are really helpful for students who want to either deepen their specialization, like some of our students taking finance major with an economics degree, or for students who want to have, that deep, broad-based understanding of the world. For example, taking a political science second major with an accountancy degree, something that is so totally different. Many students use second majors in another specialization to be better at what you're doing. For example, if they're specializing in artificial intelligence under our computer science program, and they take psychology as a second major, this will make our students even better computer scientists when they apply their knowledge of psychology and how the human brain works to artificial intelligence. Now, every SMU student has to take our core curriculum, which is a specially curated set of 12 modules in a broad-based and yet rigorous approach to broaden our students' perspectives, the world outside the majors that you're studying. So, students can be a lot more versatile and adaptable. And especially in these, turbulent COVID-19 times, I think parents as well as students find that it's so essential to really think outside of the box of your typical majors when they see industries collapsing. So the core curriculum will include modules like technology, climate change, urban cultures, leadership, and more. Students will also take a fascinating module called Big Questions, which will introduce them to multidisciplinary issues in the world. Issues like war versus peace, poverty versus wealth, and more. So through the core curriculum, our students learn to connect the dots between different issues so that they can tackle the world's issues in a similar way. Now, the core curriculum also acts as a common knowledge base for all SMU students so that discussions in class between students of different disciplines will become a lot more robust. So in SMU, this is why 100% of our classes are in small seminar style, because we don't believe in large lecture halls where students are nameless, faceless individuals. So on average, our students, there'll be about 45 students in a class, and students from different disciplines will sit together and debate issues and discuss problems, which is really highly interactive. So, some counselors and teachers may think, hey, this kind of style of teaching appeals only to extroverted students. Let me tell you that you're wrong. Many of our students are introverts, and they really want to push themselves outside of their comfort zone to learn to debate and discuss issues, and they're here with us in SMU now. Now you're looking at a slide for global exposure, and in SMU, we believe that every student should be a global citizen. It's so important, which is why 100% of our students can get an overseas experience in more than 150 cities across 50 countries. Now, global exposure in SMU can be in the form of student exchanges, very popular with our students. So where they study a whole semester in a university that's outside of Singapore, they still pay SMU's very affordable fees, and the modules that they study overseas are only pass or fail credits, so which leaves them plenty of opportunity to explore the world. Now, some students may prefer to intern overseas, and we offer this program called the Global Innovation Immersion, which is a 12-week internship with a startup business. So they'll be mentored by the founder of the startup, as well as industry titans. And the best part is we will pay students to go for this program itself. So we work with 89 companies in 12 cities to give students this amazing experience. Now, students could also opt for a shorter term study mission, which usually lasts for about 2 weeks. They will visit different countries with fellow SMU students and meet CEOs, entrepreneurs, industry leaders, as well as foreign students. Each study mission has a different theme. So our students had gone on to explore entrepreneurship, for example, in Silicon Valley, or learning about clean energy in Scandinavia. Now, the moment students step into SMU, they'll be assigned their very own career coach. The career coach will guide them through things like, putting up your best LinkedIn profile, writing a good CV, choosing the best internships for you. And, we know how important it is to really immerse in the real world, which is why every SMU student must do an internship, either locally or overseas. We leave it to them. And, I always tell students that everyone goes to university for a few key reasons. It could be expanding your intellectual curiosity or finding a good career, which is why we're always thankful because, based on this slide that you're seeing right now, the employment outcomes of our graduates have always been the strongest in Singapore. So according to the Graduate Employment Survey in 2019, which is done by the Ministry of Education and a few of the local government-funded universities, our students earn the highest average starting salaries compared to graduates from other local universities. And you can see some of the accolades over here as well. Right, so how do we get in? What kinds of students are we looking for? In SMU, we're committed to a holistic admissions approach. So beyond grades, we also look for qualities such as aptitude, a positive attitude that's really important, intellectual curiosity, critical thinking, and potential for communication skills. We want to identify students who are a bit different, who may be mavericks in their own ways, to join us. Just for your information, in SMU, 1 in 3 freshmen will receive a scholarship or financial award, including international students, and with hundreds of financial awards to give away. And you can find those information on our website. So there's just one round of application, which will last from the middle of October every year to the middle of March. And for students with international qualifications, they may have to take in standardized tests like in SAT or TOEFL or IELTS, it's either or. And happy to say that for all IB students around the world, we had waived the standardized testing for them, so they can just apply with their IB diploma. So do scan the code here and hop on to our admissions website for more application information. And I hope to see your students in SMU really soon. And without further ado, I'm going to pass this over to Laura from EHL NUS.
Great, thank you so much, Lynette. Hello, everybody, wherever in the world you may be. We recognize there are lots of time zones at play. We're glad that you've joined us. We're talking today from hot, steamy Singapore, which, as Lynette mentioned, is the way it is 365 days a year. So for those of us who like the tropical climates, this is a fantastic place to find ourselves. I'll ask Lynette to skip over to the next slide and give you an introduction to EHL NUS College. So I've built here a timeline to show you the history of the college, and you'll see that we're fortunate to be able to fit it all into a relatively short timeline because, of course, we have not been open for terribly long. So the history behind the college, as you'll hear today, Singapore really is a hub of education and a very forward-thinking hub for education at that. And if you go back now about 10 years, there was, I think, a slight hole in the educational landscape here in Singapore and not offering a liberal arts college experience for students. And so there was desire amongst officials in Singapore to introduce the liberal arts to Singapore, but in a very specialized way, in a way that honored our founding and our rooting here in Singapore. So they went off to look for a partner who would be interested in joining NUS, which is the National University of Singapore, to offer a small liberal arts program here within Singapore. So EHL ended up joining into this partnership in 2011. And the idea was to create a liberal arts college, much in the tradition of what you might find in the US, but with a far more global perspective and a far more global reach, recognizing the important place that Singapore sits in here within Southeast Asia and really within Greater Asia. So recognizing that there was experience and expertise that could come from the US, but that the model was not to replicate an American college here in Singapore, but rather to build one that would build upon the foundations of both an American tradition and a Singaporean tradition and a global mindset. So the agreement was made in 2011. We opened our doors to the first class of students in 2013. We started quite small with about 150 students. 2015 was when we were able to move into our beautiful purpose-built campus that offers students everything from residential accommodation, of course, meals in our dining halls, small purpose-built classrooms, performing arts facilities, and so forth. So we moved to campus in 2015. We were excited to have our first graduation in 2017. So we've now had our fourth graduating class leave our campus just about a month ago. So it's exciting to watch our graduates go off to do all the things around the world that we thought that they would do, everything from graduate education to employment, many maintaining the deep roots that they have here in Singapore, but many spreading their wings and traveling to other parts of the world. Go to the next slide, please, Lynette. Okay, so just to give you a snapshot of what the demographics of our student body looks like. So I mentioned that we started that first class with 150 students. That was to start small, and then we've grown since then. So each year we bring in a cohort of students of around 250 students. And this is what our capacity is. We have space on campus for 1,000 students. This past year we were over 900. This coming year will be much closer to 1,000, and that's where we'll be at steady state. So one of the hallmarks of a EHL NUS experience is this close-knit community, that you only have 1,000 students. This translates to a lot of personalized attention for students in a number of ways. Our classes are quite small. We maintain seminar classes that are a maximum of 18 students to allow for that conversation, to allow for interaction, not just between the students and their professors, but also amongst students. We recognize that a large degree of education comes from the people you're sitting around a table with. And so we want those conversations to be happening both in the classroom and outside the classroom. Approximately 50% of our students are from here in Singapore. They come from a very wide range of background within Singapore though. Some of them having done A-levels, some of them having done the IB program, some of them having attended a polytechnic. So we ensure that amongst the Singaporean students, there's a wide range of diversity. And then accordingly, approximately 50% of our students are international. And this really speaks to one of the founding principles of Yale NUS, which is to be a global institution. We feel that the best way to provide students with a global education is to have them sitting with and studying and living with people of different nationalities, different cultures, and different experiences. So we're quite proud to be as diverse as we are. And I think if you were to speak to Yale NUS students, it would come up as one of the top 2 things that our students will tell you about Yale NUS as a defining feature is the great amount of diversity. This is represented amongst our faculty as well, who come from all over the world. We have faculty who teach from a background here in Singapore. We have those who have come to us from the US, from North America, from Europe, again, adding to the diversity of experience that students engage in. You'll see the student to faculty ratio is 8:1 and students from 65 countries, 6 continents. We haven't hit Antarctica yet, but we're working towards that. So we'll go to the next slide, please. We'll talk a little bit about the curriculum at Yale NUS. One of the advantages of being a new college is having the opportunity to start with a clean slate and thinking very critically about what are the things that students ought to learn in a liberal arts education in the 21st century. And so honoring our position being here in Singapore, but of course having roots in an American-based liberal arts education, we've looked very closely at developing a curriculum that brings global perspective. So we use here as an example, our students learn about Aristotle and Confucius within the same classroom. It's not the case that students need to go to one department or one professor to learn about Eastern philosophy and another department to learn about Western philosophy. These conversations are happening within the context of a single classroom. And I think that really defines a lot of what the educational experience is like for our students. When students enter Yale NUS, they, for the first 1.5 years, take what's called our common curriculum. And this is a core set of courses that have been specifically designed with the mindset of exposing students to the humanities, the social sciences, and the sciences, with the understanding that a true liberal arts curriculum exists somewhere at the synthesis of these 3 divisions. So each of our students will take courses in the common curriculum for that first 1.5 years before they declare their majors at the end of their 2nd year. And there are 14 majors that students can choose from. You'll find within the educational space at Yale NUS, there's a high degree of interaction, of exploration. The notion of regurgitation, of course, just doesn't exist within our classrooms. We also honor the fact that learning happens outside of the classroom. And again, with students from over 65 countries, you can imagine the conversations that happen around dinner tables, within suites, and so forth. So the education extends broadly beyond the classroom. Each of our students lives on campus for all 4 years. So we're fully residential, ensuring that students are taking advantage of the experiences beyond classroom hours to learn from one another. We have quite a number of faculty who live on campus alongside the students who are engaging with them after hours as well, hosting talks, lectures, movie nights, this sort of thing within their personal space, and really building the ties for students with their faculty. The residential accommodations are built as suites. So every student has a private room within a suite of either 4 or 6 people. So it ensures that students, no matter where in the world they're coming from, are building a nuclear unit that they become comfortable with, a family of sorts within their suites, yet giving them the space for privacy within their own bedroom. In the first year, those suites are divided, half Singaporean students, half international. Again, heightening that sense of exposure to different cultures. And beyond the first year, then students, of course, have the opportunity to choose who they'll live with. Like so many institutions, we recognize that global education sometimes means leaving the boundaries of your own home. And so many of our students will participate in study abroad, internships abroad, and so forth. And this has been developed at Yale and US in what's called our Center for International and Professional Experience. So from the very beginning during orientation, students will be matched with an advisor from SIPE, this department, who will talk to them about everything from their career goals, their international goals, and so forth. Recognizing, of course, that half of our students have already left their home country to be here in Singapore, it certainly doesn't stop them from wanting to go off and explore other things as well. We'll go to the next slide, please, Lynette, and talk just a bit about the application process. So like SMU, we participate in a holistic review of students. We believe that students' contributions to an academic and residential community extend beyond what we can see on a single transcript. There are 3 ways that students can apply to Yale and US, where we have an application directly on our website. We're on the common application where students can seek Yale and US specifically. The third option is for students who might be applying to Yale as a partner institution. If they're applying to Yale, they can check a box on the Yale common application that says, please also send a copy of my application to Yale and US. And for students who elect this option, a copy of the application will go to Yale in New Haven, Connecticut. They'll do a separate review, and a copy of the application will come to us here in Singapore, and we'll do our own review of the application. So in no way is choosing this third option an advantage or a disadvantage to the student. We don't talk to one another about the student's applicant. So the decisions that are made between the 2 campuses are entirely separate from one another. But it is a nice way for students who are applying to Yale to just share that application with us as well. Of course, we're looking at all sorts of qualities that indicate someone who will contribute to our community and who has a desire for being pushed beyond the boundaries of what's comfortable for them educationally and culturally, those who show academic promise and so forth. And lastly, we'll just flip ahead to the next slide to talk about financial aid. About 50% of our students receive financial aid, and this includes international students and students here in Singapore. And I'll come back to you in a few minutes after Mariana has spoken to talk a little bit more about funding options for students here in Singapore. But with that, I'll turn it over to Mariana.
Thanks, Laura. So I'm Mariana Lozada. I represent Sciences Po here in Singapore. And in particular, I'm going to talk about this double degree that we have with NUS. So this is a different program compared to what we just presented, because it's a program that is offered by 2 universities and offering 2 degrees. So this program is starting in 2016, so it's fairly new. We started first with a pilot program a little bit earlier. As you may know, Sciences Po has this tradition of establishing double degrees with good partners like Columbia University or Berkeley. We have double degrees with the European universities. And for us, this double degree with NUS was something that it was very important to us, because it combined 2 great institutions from Europe, Sciences Po and Singapore, but it's very specific for the social sciences. So the program offers, as I said, 2 diploma certificates, 1 Bachelor of Art in Social Science from NUS and a Bachelor of Arts from Sciences Po, and also a diploma certificate from the University Scholars Program, which is the excellence programs within NUS. Next slide, please, Lynette. So to give you an overview about NUS, Laura just presented Yale NUS, which is hosted within NUS. and it's actually right to the building that we can see on the slide. NUS is Singapore's flagship university. It's a very well-established university that was established in 1905 as a medical school, very well-known, pluridisciplinary, conducting a lot of research with 29 research institutes and centers, 4 research centers of excellence, and is considered one of the top universities in the world and is ranked first in Asia. So this is a large pluridisciplinary education, an institution, and we decided to partner with a specific program from NUS that is similar to EHL NUS in the sense that it's a residential program and in which the students are able to interact in smaller classes. Next slide, please. Sciences Po is France's leading university in the social sciences. It's also a very well-established university in France. It's well known because it trained a lot of the public servants, president, prime minister, and civil servants working in international affairs. Sciences Po has been transformed in the last 20 years. It's becoming a really international institution in which 49% of our students come from abroad, from 150 countries, so really from all over the world. It's an institution that only offers programs in the social sciences. So it's a multidisciplinary curriculum offering political science, economics, sociology, law, history, and the humanities. So this dual degree program with NUS is in a way, it's focused on the social sciences, but the students will get the fundamentals at Sciences Po during the first and the second year, and they will major in the social sciences at NUS, offering a more, I would say, a specific education in a discipline within the social sciences. We also have other dual degrees with 9 different universities for the undergraduate level and 34 dual degrees for the master level. Next slide, please. For this program, the Sciences Po and NUS double degree, the students don't need to speak French at all. I mean, French will be one of the subjects within the curriculum as a foreign language, but French is not at all a requirement. And we offer this program with 3 of the 7 Sciences Po campuses. Sciences Po has 7 campuses across France. The ones that are fully English speaking are our Europe-Asia campus in Le Havre in Normandy, the Middle East and the Mediterranean campus in Menton in the south of France, and the Reims campus is about 45 minutes from Paris. That is our North America and Africa program. So the students who apply for this dual degree between Sciences Po and NUS will be going for the first and the second year to one of these campuses of their choice. It doesn't matter where they come from. It depends where they're interested, what they're interested in. They can focus on the relationship between Europe and Asia, Europe and the Middle East and the Mediterranean, or Europe and North America, and choose one of these 3 campuses for the program. That's the program that they will have in France. And then for the 3rd and 4th year, they will go to NUS and they will continue the curriculum at the university scholar programs. Next slide, please. So this is the structure of the program. As I said before, 2 diploma certificates, a Bachelor of Arts from Sciences Po, a Bachelor of Arts from NUS, and the USP certificate. The students need to be admitted both to NUS and Sciences Po together. We have a joint committee that selects the students, and this interview the students. I decide who will be part of this program. And it's a very integrated program. It's not at all like an exchange program in which, you know, the students spend 1 or 2 years in a country and then they go to another country and then they get the 2 degrees. We've been working together with NUS for 10 years. It took us 5 years to put together this program, and it's really, really integrated. So we make sure there is a consistency between what they do in the first and the second year, getting the fundamentals in the social sciences, and the continuity at NUS during the third and the fourth year with their major. So next slide, please, Lynette. You can see here what they can do at Sciences Po in red and what they will do at NUS. So the program is offering 4 majors: economics, history, sociology, and political science. So very specific to the social sciences. So when they start at Sciences Po, during the first year, they get the foundations in the social sciences and humanities. And they have to decide when they go to the second year, one of the majors within Sciences Po. There are economy and society, political humanities, and politics and government. They have also to complete a field internship, and also what we call at Sciences Po the civic engagement program, that is also part of the curriculum. And then they go to NUS for the third and fourth year to complete their dual degree, and they major in economic history, sociology, and political science. And they have to make a decision before joining the program. So it's not that they decide on the way whether they want to do economics or history or sociology. We have some flexibility in case the students wants to change, but the idea is that they apply for a specific major. At NUS, well, at Sciences Po, they will be together with students from Sciences Po and also from Sciences Po and other universities. If, for example, the double degree with Columbia or Berkeley, all the students start at Sciences Po for the first and second year. And then at for the third year, all Sciences Po students go abroad. So the ones who are engaged in these double degrees, they will go to the partner university that corresponds to the double degree, and all the other Sciences Po students will go abroad to any other university, any of the 478 partners that we have around the world. So what's very specific about this program is that the students interact with other classmates that will go to other institutions, that will go to other countries, and they create relations, and they establish connections with students from all over the world. Sciences Po is truly international. It's based in France, but it's really an international institution that is located in France. That's how we consider ourselves. So first and second year at Sciences Po, and then when they come to NUS, NUS is a local Singaporean university in which there are a lot of international students, but much less than Sciences Po. And the students will take classes both at the Faculty of Art and Social Sciences for their major, and also at the University Scholars Program. That is this very specific residential program within NUS, in which they have different models. So they have the inquiry models, the reflection models, and the critical models. So it's very focused on critical thinking, quantitative reasoning. So it really complements the social science aspect. Next slide, please. So I'll give you some information about the application process, the fees and financial aid. So how the program works is like the students apply to NUS first. If they get admission to NUS, they can apply for the dual degree program. So it's a supplementary application, but they do it through the NUS application system first. For international qualifications, IB diploma, and so on, the period of time in which they have to apply is February, March. Normally at Sciences Po, we have our applications are open from October till the end of April, but for this specific degree, every year is around February and March. We don't have the dates for next year yet, but it will be around those dates. In terms of tuition, the first and second year, the students will pay the tuition fees that corresponds to Sciences Po, and the third and fourth year, there will be NUS fees. So the fees are roughly the same. So I put on that slide the fees on the local currency, so euros for France and Singapore dollars for Singapore. So that's about $12,000 per year. And for the NUS part, well, for the two parts, actually, we do have scholarships. Sciences Po is a very generous institution in that sense because we're looking for talent. We also have a holistic admission process in which we're really looking for talent. Of course, the grades matter in a sense because that's an objective criteria to decide on a candidate. It's a very competitive program, but we are looking at students who are willing to make a change in the world, who are very committed to society, who are interested in interdisciplinarity in the social sciences, because this is basically a program in the social sciences. Yeah, we are offering these scholarships from Sciences Po, the input me, that is both based on merit and financial need. And that covers up to 70% of the fees and also gives a living allowance for the part that is in France. And for NUS, we have two types of fees. So the subsidized and the non-subsidized fees. So the deal in general is like if we agree on a candidate and the candidate needs a scholarship, Sciences Po will give the Meet-with-Me scholarship and NUS will match with another scholarship. So Laura will give more information about this tuition grant scheme that is very specific to Singapore, because as you can see on the table, there are two different types of fees that can vary quite a lot per year. So maybe Laura, you can explain a little bit more about the tuition grant scheme. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll do this very briefly. So we're breaking things up here because the tuition grant scheme applies only to public institutions here in Singapore. Essentially, recognizing the immense talent that international students bring to Singapore, there's a desire to retain our graduates here in Singapore upon graduation. And so international students at autonomous universities here in Singapore are offered the opportunity to sign on for what's called the tuition grant scheme. And essentially what this means is that the government provides a subsidy for their education. And upon graduation from one of our institutions, these students are expected to stay and work in Singapore for 3 years. So in exchange for the subsidy, they have this opportunity to work in Singapore and explore professional life in Singapore for 3 years. Assuming a student takes on this tuition grant scheme, there's no repayment to be made to the government. They keep all of their earnings from their employment. Of course, they're taxed, as we all are, but they're able to start their careers here in Singapore before either returning home or bringing their talent elsewhere in the world. So for many students, this is very attractive and a way to make education here more affordable. But I would say even more than that, granting them the opportunity to start a professional career at this place of great innovation and economic opportunity. So I'll turn things over to Julie now, I believe.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. So hello everyone, I'm Julie Pino. I'm the International Promotion Manager at ESSEC Business School. Maybe you know ESSEC for being in France, in Europe. Today I will focus specifically on the Singapore campus. So to start, I will briefly give you some context and history about ESSEC. So ESSEC was created first in France in 1907 But now we consider ESSEC ourselves as a world school because we have 4 campuses across the world. So we have 2 campuses in the Paris region, 1 campus in Asia, the Singapore campus, and 1 campus in Africa in Morocco. So at ESSEC, we have around 6,000 students, both undergraduate and graduate students. We are also a world school because of the diversity of our student body. So we have 98 different nationalities on campus. And finally, ESSEC is also an academic institution of excellence, known for its pioneering spirit. So we are known, for example, for many firsts. We were the first school to partner with corporate companies in Europe, and we create corporate chairs with Accenture, for example, or L'Oréal. We were also the first school outside of North America to be accredited with the AACSB, the leading accreditation body, in 1997. So that was just to give you some history and context. So can I go to the next slide, please, Ines? The next one. Okay, and so then we arrived in Singapore in 2005. So at the beginning, we were based in the National Library in Singapore, and then in 2015, we launched our campus at One North. So we are located at One North, the Silicon Valley of Singapore. So we are a few minute walks from Biopolis, the biomedical hubs, and we are surrounded by startups. So we are more or less 20 minutes away from the city center. So in the Singapore campus, to give you more a general view, we welcome every year 600 students in the Singapore campus, and most specifically, I will focus on the undergraduate program that we offer, the Global BBA program. So I'll just go to the next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So the Global BBA that we offer in Singapore is a Global Bachelor in Business Administration, so a 4-year bachelor degree. It can be done either in the Singapore campus or in the French campus. So what makes this program unique, what is important to know, I wanted to focus specifically on 3 important elements of the Global BBA. The academic excellence. So the ESSEC as a school is the 7th European business school according to the Financial Times, and the Global BBA has been constantly ranked 1st in France according to various French rankings like L'Étudiant, Challenge, and Le Point. And so the BBA exactly was created in 1975 in France, but we welcome our first cohort in Singapore in 2005. The second important element in the Global BBA would be the professional experience, because all of our students will gain between 10 and 16 months of professional experience during their studies. So they have to do 3 months internship at the end of the 1st year, 1 month at the end of the 2nd year, and then they have 6 months of internship or the apprenticeship during the 3rd or the 4th year. And finally, the last important point of the Global BBA would be the international perspective. So as already mentioned, we have a campus in 3 different continents. So for example, our students who will start in Singapore have the possibility, if they want to switch campuses and go study for 1 semester in one of the other ESSEC campuses in France, for example. All students will also have to do a minimum of 6 months or 1 year abroad in a partner university. So it is included in the curriculum. So we have 170 different university partners, top-ranked university around the world, like King's College, for example, University of South Carolina. So they can go for 6 months or for 1 year. And we also have the possibility, we also offer the possibility for students to do a double degree. So we have 10 dual degrees possible. We have, for example, a double degree possible with Keio University in Japan, Yonsei in South Korea. There's also a possibility and an option for our students. And the final track that we have, the final international track that we have is the International Business Education Alliance track. It's a partnership that we have with 3 other universities, the University of Mannheim in Germany, University of South Carolina in the US, and the FGV in Brazil. It means that the student who will enter this track will go for 1 semester in each different university. They will start in Singapore, and then they will go for 1 semester in the 3 mentioned universities. Regarding the teaching methods at ESSEC, we have, I would say, a mix between the theory and the practice. So during year 1 and year 2, students will learn the fundamentals of business with courses like finance, international marketing, entrepreneurship, but also languages. All students have to study 3 different languages. We offer in Singapore French, Italian, Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese. And the years 3 and 4, they will be able to select their courses, and they can specialize if they want to. It can be a specialization in sustainable development, for example, luxury marketing, more finance, so they have the choice. Okay, so we can go to the next slide now, please. Thank you. Okay, so now about the future career opportunities. So our students work in diverse industry, depending on the courses they have selected the last 2 years, of course. For example, some of our graduates now work at JP Morgan or at Natixis in the finance industry, others at Chanel or Dior in the luxury industry. So it's very diverse depending on the courses they have selected. But we have a career center on our campus in Singapore that will support a student during the 4 years for a job search, practice for interviews, for example. We also organize professional talks on our campus. So we welcome and we have a representative from different top companies who come to share about their industries, their experience, and give some recruitment tips, for example. So we had representatives from Google, from Ubisoft, BNP Paribas, for example. I will go to the next slide, please. Okay, and also we also want, of course, for students to learn and develop their interest outside of the classroom. So we have, for example, at ESSEC Singapore, we have 30 different student associations covering a wide range of interests like sports or entrepreneurship, art, community service. So a lot of our students are member in one of these different associations. And of course, we also have the space, since we're quite new in Singapore, to create a new association, for example. And finally, I'll go through the final slide, please. So I just wanted to mention in a few words the application, tuition fees, and financial aid. So our application process at ESSEC is online on our website for students who apply for the Singapore campus. So basically, we open our application from October until April or beginning of May. So we have usually 4 or 5 rounds in the year. So we publish the admission calendar on our website in September, and then students can apply in the different rounds. It can be in October or the round in January, for example. The first step is to submit the supportive document, and if the student is shortlisted, it will be you will have to do an interview. Regarding the fees and the scholarship, we also offer scholarships at ESSEC for a Singaporean student or also international student. It can be up to 25% of the tuition fees. We have the Academic Excellence Scholarship, for example, or the Regional Diversity Scholarship, for example. So I think now I'll give the floor to the next speaker, EHL and SF from EHL.
Thank you, Julie. So hi from Singapore. I'm based here in Singapore at our Asia Pacific headquarters. And today I'm going to talk to you about the Bachelor of Science of International Hospitality Management and our new campus in Singapore. Next slide, please. So who are EHL? As mentioned, we are actually opening a new campus here this year in Singapore. We are a Swiss school, and many of you may know us as the first hotel school. So even though we are actually new to Singapore, we have actually been around for over 125 years. And we really are hospitality focused originally, but really, as you'll see when I talk about the bachelor program, we are a business focused school and very closely linked to industry. So you can see that we really have a diverse student body. We have over 116 nationalities on campus, as well as really continuously bringing the curriculum up to date with the practical side of our course, as well as the theoretical side, with top faculty from all around the globe. The industry connectivity, as well as the global opportunities, are linked both to the 2 internships that are taken during the course, as well as the industry relations, which I'll talk more about. Next slide, please. So Singapore being our newest campus, but we do actually have 3 campuses. So the original campus is based in Lausanne, just about an hour from Geneva. And we also have another campus on the German-speaking side in Pasuk, which is also on our academic pathway. So there are 2 pathways there in Switzerland, as well as the course then here in Singapore, of course, where we're actually opening the campus to open the bachelor as of this year. So the first cohort of students will start this year in Switzerland, in Lausanne, and then come back to Singapore next year in 2021. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, the first year is actually in Switzerland. This is actually our practical course. So this is our preparation course, where there is a lot of practical based on campus, where you will get to actually work in the kitchens, work in the restaurants. We have our Michelin star restaurant actually based on campus itself as well. And then you would go straight into your operational internship. And this can be anywhere in the globe. Once you then come back to what we call year 1, you will start the theory of your bachelor program. This will then continue where you will have different, you will have the core subjects that you take, and then leading then to your second internship, which is your functional administrative internship, which again can be taken anywhere on the globe. We do have an internship officer that is allocated to each student to allow you to actually have the support to apply for those, as well as then moving into final year where you would have the student business project. So the important thing about year 3 is you have your student business project, which is a real life project with a real live company, an external company that would engage EHL to allow you to work on a solution for them. This has taken students all over the globe, working within a team, and also in some cases, companies actually extending graduate employability offers to the students themselves that have worked on those projects. For the electives, we have various electives that can be chosen depending on your interest. This is actually chosen later on. However, these also change. So for example, depending on what's happening in the world, we have, for example, a lot of people choosing things like digital marketing or crisis management due to the current climate. Next slide, please. So the bachelor curriculum, you can just see from this here that actually you can choose to be in Singapore, but if you do want to have another taster of Lausanne later on in the course, you can actually choose to do that in your semester 5 as well as semester 7. This is also the same for students who choose Lausanne as their home campus. They can actually choose to exchange to Singapore in the same semesters as well. Next slide, please. Sorry, there's some animation here. You just need to click through. Sorry, Lynette. Okay, so, you know, where do EHL graduates go? So we find that our students actually come in with a strong interest in hospitality or generally with people. So what we find is that 53% go into traditional hospitality, but then we have 47% that actually go into all types of different sectors. And as you can see from the list here, the list is quite broad and very, very diverse. We have a very, very strong alumni network. For myself, I think that I've found an EHL alumni on every corner of the globe. Everywhere I go, they seem to pop up. So I would say that it's very much family values and alumni really willing to help each other out as well. Next slide, please. So we do have an industry relations team, and we have very strong industry connectivity within Singapore. We have a team based here in Singapore as well as in Switzerland. We're constantly working with companies to explain to them what EHL is about, what EHL graduates do, and the skill sets and the transferable skills that graduates come out of EHL with. We very much focus on the soft skills and a lot of the things which companies today are really looking for in terms of adaptability and, of course, that 1-year work experience that you graduate with. Next slide, please. So we do have, again, similar to some of our institutions here today, a very holistic process. So we have an online application process, which you can do online directly on our website or also via the Common App. The second part of the interview is actually an online interview. And the third is what we call a selection day. This is a day where you would attend a selection day in person with EHL in a city near you. Or we do also have those online if you are unable to get to a selection day near you. This really consists of group work, a face-to-face interview, and then finally an aptitude test. You can find more about this online on our website, but also during this process, you would have a dedicated admissions officer, which would help you through this process as well. So if you did have any questions, you can find the team online on the link below. What we really look for is we're looking for students who have done their research, students who understand what EHL has to offer and thinks that they can also add value to EHL. We look for students who are really either looking for hospitality or really looking for that people aspect and those soft skills. We also have a very strong business focus. So we do have a lot of students who apply who are looking to start up their own businesses or are very entrepreneurial as well. More of that can be found on online on our website as well. But otherwise, thank you very much for listening. I just wanted to share a quick overview, and I think that's all from us here. Thank you very much for listening. We do hope that it was informative, and if you do have any questions, you can obviously contact us on our email addresses here. And of course, we do hope that you learned a little bit about Singapore and may consider Singapore for your future options. Thank you.